Welcome, folks, to the Commander's Campus. I'm Commander Girish Konkar, an ex-submariner turned leadership catalyst. I'm here to help you navigate the storms of leadership and build a legacy that lasts. Let's dive in to the depths of leadership. Is there anything you can relate to, saying something happened somewhere that I was the person who would stick to the studies also, along with so many other things that are happening? Is there anything that you'd like to relate to?
I think the first thing I realized, I lost my dad when I was in second standard. School was very close, but that age, I didn't know what is the death and
The
impact life. I just went to school
Right.
because somebody had imbibed in me that school is important.
Okay.
So this is where then went along with me for every standard, and we had only 1 to 4th standard.
Okay.
And only one teacher
Okay.
and one hall, one room, I should say. So, these things teach you, whatever it is, you have to go through it.
Right.
And other influences, of course, because our batch somehow was pretty good. And that helped, the teacher also to get permission. When we finished 4th, he managed to get permission to start 5th class.
Okay.
And same happening to start 6th class.
Okay.
Because of our batch, we had a relatively good batch. But after that, then he gave up because it was too much for one teacher, 6 classes, and so many students, no space.
Okay.
He was teaching all the subjects.
So now even that similar situation, I think, holds good today also. After what 60, 65 years,
Yes.
there's still places, and a lot of people complain about this thing. But here you've been through it, where you were from first standard to sixth standard in one classroom, multiple classes together, one teacher. Any instances you remember of that time? I know it's a long time back, but how did you? Well, ultimately, it's a mindset.
Yes.
You have to go through all that rather than complaining कि मुझे ये नहीं है, वो नहीं है, ये नहीं मिलता, वो नहीं मिलता है. अगर ये होता तो कितना अच्छा होता. But anything you like to?
No, what I remember is that, when we were maybe in the first standard or second, and there were other students in up to 4th standard. So when there was no space, the teacher used to tell us, you go and sit under this tree.
Okay.
There was a neem tree in front of the, and there was sand, And we just went out, played with sand, played with each other, throw sand on each other. So we did exactly, what's happening. Now, it is difficult to tell exactly where I started getting more into. But my mother was very keen that I study. But since I lost my father early days, elder brother took over family affairs. He was not very keen that everybody study. He used to push me to the fields.
Okay.
You go day to day, you are there. Forget about school. My mother used to tell me, no, schooling is important. So that I think created impression that what my mom is telling is he is more important than my brother. Brother ke liye kya hai? He has to do.
Yeah.
He has to do work himself otherwise.
Right.
So I think mother created this inner desire to study, and that's where the sincerity of looking at the lessons and understanding it, and it went. And the teacher was pretty cool. He was somehow managing so many students and so many classes and so many subjects. So unbelievable guy. And he used to come from a place called Sangola.
Okay.
He used to stay for 6 days. He went back only on Sundays. Again back to.
Wow. Okay.
So his determination has also come through.
So imagine he was also doing very hard work.
Highly dedicated and persevered with the studies and with the students.
And he was staying in village, so we could approach him anytime.
Right.
So your education, like you spoke about, the primary schooling itself is so challenging, and you went to a Marathi medium school, and from there you managed to secure your admission in IIT Bombay. Now, that transition, that mental shift must have also been very difficult or very different for that matter. So, what were the experiences that you learned during that phase of your life where you went from your village to IIT Bombay?
That would have been a journey in itself,
Yes.
That's a long
Yeah.
story.
Mhm.
But I think what taught us to, move ahead was, we were, I think, about dozen students working together. So we used to really enjoy, We were not feeling very hardship, even if it was a severe sun, and we were used to walk barefoot, no
Okay.
chappals to anybody, no slipper also. And khali chatke basle tari, you have to anyway reach school at certain time. So that taught us kind of, team teamwork. If some children are with you and you're walking together, you are more enjoying talking to each other, and you don't remember even when you reach school.
And I believe it was also 10-kilometer distance.
Yes,
one
10
way
kilometer
walk.
one way and 10 kilometer return. Only trouble was when it used to be very rainy, heavy rainy season. There we had to cross a river.
Okay.
That was the only problem. So we have to go through this water and reach school. But since everybody was, we were catching hand and go. That's how the teamwork started coming. And then when I studied there, somehow I managed to get always first or second rank. Now there were many students in the city called Sangola, where every parents were educated teachers and so on. But somehow I managed to look at the lessons and I used to grasp very fast, and was able to manage. And we used to have a competition between me and the founder of the school, his daughter. She used to come first, sometimes say second. So, and her father used to encourage me. He used to even call me when I did well. He used to call me to his house, which I went with a lot of nervousness, but those days. But he encouraged to study, and then there was no SSC center in Sangola. Somehow, the headmaster, he managed to get the center. Otherwise, we had to travel to Pandharpur or Sholapur to give SSC exam. So it was tough, but when the SSC I did, and I stood first in the center and fourth in Maharashtra in maths. So that gave me a lot of encouragement, and I got scholarship of 110 rupees based on SSC score. So I think that was one thing which I found was made possible to study IIT or any other studies. Otherwise, you don't have money to just to go to even Sholapur. So later on, then when I joined pre-degree science in Sholapur, there also there were some professors who appreciated me and supported me, and he was the first fellow to tell me there is IIT in pre-degree science. So he said you should appear it, and luckily his son was in IIT. And you might be knowing Achyut Godbole. His father was a professor of statistics in Dayanand College. So I did not have books, so he gave me the books
To study.
for IIT entrance. So myself and imagine who was my roommate, Mr. Navle, the founder of Singagadi. We both appeared. Somehow my rank was higher, his rank was lower, so he had to go to Sangli Engineering. I went to IIT. But we all were, poor students. No, still some slippers. Then pajama, kurta, typical.
Village. Right.
And then when I got the IIT entrance exam, and also I stood second in the university.
Wow.
First in the college. I lost by 1 mark. But that I still, cannot forget. And then I borrowed a slipper from my elder brother. With pajama, and I went alone to Bombay. I didn't know the first time which train to catch, which bus to catch, and so on and so forth. It was quite experience, but the image, standing myself in chappal, kurta, in front of a IIT administrative huge building
Okay.
that I still remember.
And that's
And,
completely new for you, coming from Sangola,
yeah,
Sangli,
it is,
Solapur.
you just cannot imagine. I just stood there. And there were gardens, nice gardens, and luckily because I stood second in university, this Godbole's father was a professor. He gave me a letter
Okay.
to the registrar and saying that you give this boy whatever engineering discipline he wants.
Okay.
And those time chemical engineering was a top.
Okay.
Not this electric
Yeah.
computer
Access
and was
to-
not there.
Yeah.
So one is I had entrance. Second is my choice of branch.
Okay.
So these things, it just came together. So that's how we landed with IIT doing chemical engineering. And life in IIT was fantastic.
Okay. Great.
So
And you
that's,
love the studies that were there, which were in IIT. So you were one of those studious kind of people there.
yes. I was studious, but it was very difficult because every class was in English.
How do you overcome that? Because you come from a Marathi background.
Yes.
And now you are in a English, completely probably English.
See what had happened. I studied ABCD in 8th standard because that's
Okay.
common those days.
So till 8 you had no clue of English. Then 8 you
And
started
learning. Then till SSC English subject was there, but speaking was a big problem. Then little bit we learned in Dayanand College during pre-degree science. But when we went to IIT, first 3 months we hardly understood anything.
Okay.
I mean, there were many rural students
Mm-hmm.
which came from villages also like me. So we could not understood. So some people had a nervous breakdown.
Okay.
But somehow I managed to, because I was a little bit strong. So, and there were some classmates and seniors.
Right.
And also this Achyut Godabole,
Uh,
he encouraged me. Yeah, don't worry, we have also gone through it. So you carry on.
Okay.
You'll start understanding slowly. So then slowly we started speaking only in English, and then
okay.